Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another weekly episode of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I am Blake Smith, and as always, with me, my partners in the paranormal, Miss Shelley Pruitt and Mr. Ryan Roberts. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm excited. You know how much I love a good ghost story, especially if it's true.
Oh, yeah, you're always being like, oh, tell me a story. Just tell me a good story.
Tell me a good story. And we got a storyteller on with us tonight. Who's telling true stories?
Who's telling true stories? I know. I'm excited about it. Yeah. So, by the way, I know y'all saw the title of this episode, EVP times 2. How amazing is that? Because we're talking to the founder of Elk Valley Paranormal, where we are everything vaguely paranormal. So EVP times, I can't do the hand signals. I can't do the hand signals. Yeah, it's EVP on EVP. Is that like picture in picture a little bit or something like that?
A little bit. I think so.
A little bit. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're just going to kick right to it because I've got a list of questions that we're going to get to because I'm excited to bring onto the screen. She is the founder of Elk Valley Paranormal, as we had said. She is also a paranormal author. She's a paranormal investigator. I guarantee she's got some fantastic stories that we are going to hear tonight, and we're going to hear all about her works as an author. Y'all, welcome to the stage, Cyn Shrader Hill. I don't know why I said stage to the screen. Whatever we're on right now, it's okay.
We are theater students, and so therefore we're always on stage.
Can I just say, I love you guys already.
Well, we haven't got to the end of the episode yet. We'll
yeah,
leave judgments.
You just wait. You'll hate us by the end of it.
So I can take that back.
Yeah, you can take it back.
Just pause for a little bit on that. So, Cyn, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are doing fantastic. First off, I have to tell you, thank you. You actually reached out to us, which I think is fantastic because when I started digging into it, I was like, okay, yeah, we got to talk to her. We got to talk to her. So
wow.
Thank you for coming on and being a part of this episode. So tell us, I'm just going to kick off the questions because, of course, I'm fascinated that you're with Elk Valley Paranormal, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we are everything vaguely paranormal. I'm just going to eat that up all night long, EVP times 2. So First off, what got you interested in the paranormal and how did Elk Valley come about?
Okay. I've been a strange kid all my life. Yeah. I didn't realize how strange until about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So my dad died. Let me just kick it off there. My dad died in 2001.
Okay.
And sudden. He was 5 days before his 69th birthday. It just, wasn't right to me. Mm-hmm. And I was a daddy's girl. So it made it even worse. They had an auto parts store in my hometown, Fayetteville, Tennessee, that they had over 30-something years, 35 years or so. And Mom and my sister tried to keep it open after he died. And if you guys are like Little Texas here in Tennessee, you go into an auto parts store, the guys just don't want to talk to a girl. Mm-hmm. That woman don't know shit.
They're like, sugar, are you sure you need a spark plug?
Girl, do you even know what a spark plug is?
Sell her some headlight fluid.
Yeah. Can I get that blinker fluid you want? Yeah. So they tried to keep it open, and just O'Reilly's and even Walmart were just eating them up, so they couldn't. Mm-hmm. They kept it alive for 2 more years after he died, and then closed it. My nephew, the miracle baby, was born a year after Dad died. So he kind of filled the void of my dad dying, kind of out of our, it was just unexpected. Susan, my sister, was told she would never have a child when she was 16 years old. And 5 miscarriages later, Wyatt stuck.
Wow.
We are actually coming up on Wyatt's angelversary. We lost him when he was 19 and a half years old. And his 1-year angelversary is coming up on the 6th of April. So, and it's still one of those things that we have not accepted yet. Mm-hmm. I don't think we ever will. Mm-hmm. But I've got a story about Wyatt that I'll tell you later. Back to how, remember, if I get on a tangent, just pull me back.
We'll reel you back in.
Yeah. So I wanted to see if my dad was still at the store. It was an empty store. All the utilities had been turned off at least 2 to 3 years prior to 2013. So everything had been cleared out. There was nothing there. My cousin actually had a group come down from McMinnville, Tennessee. And I was like, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me? She had her art studio investigated and found a couple of things there, which was interesting. So I called these people that came down for her, and they came down. They were so excited to come down and investigate this old store. This old store had been there since the late 1800s. The basement was actually the original first floor, and that's how much the road had been built up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's that way in a lot of small towns, but it's just a really weird basement that this thing had. It had 2 big concrete vats in it. And I found out that it was a turkey slaughterhouse back in the late 1800s.
Oh, wow.
There were still cooks hanging, and, just it was just a lot of weirdness down there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody here? It's like, that's
Don't you steal my thunder.
I love.
Oh, shut up. Yes, no, shut up. I got to hear this now. Shelly, shut up. I got to hear this now. She said, don't steal my thunder. There's something good at the end, girl.
You know
It's coming. It's coming. Okay. So anyway, that was the basement. But the second floor that actually became the first floor, later on, was everything from an ice cream plant to a furniture store to a Red Cross building, and then this auto parts store and some other things in between all over the years. So anyway, this group comes in to see if my dad's still there. I'm the trigger object. That's the only trigger object they needed. So I just stood there and basically asked questions. The only place in the whole building their K2 hit, and remember, there's no electricity. There were no cell phones on in there. It was just a concrete building, empty. The K2 and all of their equipment only went off exactly in the place that my dad's desk chair sat for all those years.
Wow.
And yeah, it was weird. They got 2 EVPs. One was this strange holy mackerel. My family didn't say that. So, and it really sounds like an old saying. So I'm thinking it was back in the 20s or 30s that was recorded. I really don't know. But the second EVP they got was turkeys clucking.
No way. I did not know that story, and I was just making a joke.
Swear it. Turkeys clucking.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, when you were there, did you feel like there was something there? Or do you feel like that was more of a residual thing?
The turkeys, I think, were residual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
you got ghost birds wandering around. Thanksgiving's coming up. Yeah, let's haunt their asses. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't subtle clucking. They were serious. They didn't want to go in those vats. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No. Anyway. So after that, I joined their team as case manager. But I wanted my own team. I didn't know how to go about it. So they trained me. And in the back of my mind, after I heard those turkeys and the holy mackerel and some of that other stuff, the first thing I bought was a recorder and a ghost box, of course. So I became interested in finding those voices. And then I thought, when I branch off, everything around here is called Elk Valley something. I'm thinking Elk Valley Paranormal sounds pretty good because I like to find EVPs, and that became my specialty, if you can call it a specialty in the paranormal, But that was something I wanted to do.
And you found this EVP as well.
I'm
Yeah,
so
I mean-
excited. I found this EVP.
from out of the ether.
And so that just kind of puts you on this path, and you decided, like, so this team that taught you, do any of them remain on your current team now?
No.
Or did you branch off and just get yourself your own team that you trained the way that you wanted to have it done and that kind of thing?
Right. So the co-founders of that group, it was Ghost Hunters of Southern Tennessee. And they were James Jones and Wayne Baker. They taught me how to investigate and what to look for. And Wayne specifically was the one that said, well, you're feeling this because you're a sensitive. And I'm like, I'm a what? I didn't know shit.
She's like, I just go in these dark places. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I
don't know what I'm doing. Why am I getting a headache all of a sudden? Why, why do I know there's something in there? And I don't know because I've not been in there. Why is that? He said, it's because you are sensitive and you're feeling all this stuff. Okay, jump forward a little bit. And my co-founder, Sean, joined their group also. But I was given the task to train him. So when the time came, Sean and I branched off and created Elk Valley Paranormal and started around this area. Not just McMinnville was an hour and a half or so away from us. Even though we did investigations all over Southern Tennessee and Middle Tennessee, but Sean had some ties to the Huntsville, Alabama area. So we built in Huntsville, Northern Alabama, all that kind of stuff. And then all the way up to Nashville and all the way over to Chattanooga. We now have one of our group members, Walt, is our mountain man. And he's such a cool dude. He's our little hippie, but we love him. We love him. He is...
You have Shelley's interest.
Okay.
Great.
Have you been? Wait, serious question.
Oh.
Does your mountain man take you Bigfoot hunting? Because if so, I need to meet Walt.
You know what? We have not been Bigfoot hunting.
You got a hippie mountain man and he hasn't taken you Bigfoot hunting? I think Walt's falling down his job is what Walt.
You know what? I think one show we need to get Walt and Sean on here so we can talk about all this kind of stuff.
There we go.
He actually has an elemental that lives in his home.
Oh,
no way.
That's how he got started on this. He's been kind of sensitive for as long as he can remember as well, and has seen things like his grandfather appearing to him, and all this weird stuff happening. Like his wife was out back doing some crafts one day and had some wooden letters, and she'd just thrown them out into a pile. And Walt comes out and he goes, come in. He said, Granddaddy's here. And she said, what the fuck are you talking about? He'd been gone for a while. So she comes in and it was the Old Spice smell. And he said, that's Granddaddy. Whenever you smell Old Spice, that's Granddaddy. They go back outside, or she goes back outside and she says, Walt. And he goes running out and he said, what is it? And she said, who is James? And he said, what? And she said, who is James? They hadn't gotten married yet, so they didn't know each other's secrets and everything. He said, that's Granddaddy. And she said, look at the letters. James had broken away from the clump of letters, and James was spelled out.
Wow.
Now, how freaky is that?
Yeah, it'd be time to move at that point for me. I'm sorry. Like, burn it down. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not my home. Haunted location, fine. My house, absolutely not.
Yeah.
They actually had somebody come investigate, and it was Mark Elliott Fultz. He's the one that actually does all the illustrations and covers for my books, and he's an incredible medium. So he goes to investigate for Walt to tell him, what's going on. And he told Walt, it's an elemental. He's fine. He will not bother you. You just have to give him a gift every once in a while of like bread, something you make.
Mm-hmm.
Bread, homemade wine. It doesn't matter. Just give him something, and he's part of the family. He's always going to be there. And if you don't want him to mess with you, then you got to kind of give him something.
You better keep your drunk elemental uncle happy. Screw up the family reunion. Yeah.
Your drunk elemental uncle.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounds like. Give me some wine. Okay,
right.
drunk uncle, here you go. Yeah.
Pretty much. So, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, when you got started, you said the first thing you did was go out and buy a recorder.
Yes.
And you said this was around 2003, right?
2013.
13.
I've only been doing this for like 10 years.
Oh, okay. Cool. Because the question that I was gonna ask, and maybe you still do this too, do you prefer to use digital recorders, or do you prefer to use recorders with actual little mini cassette tapes?
I have not even tried mini cassette tapes on any investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. I have a friend in Nashville that's all she uses. That's Blackie Ray. And that's all she uses, and swears by them. But I have not used them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I was recording everything of the investigation. And you know how many hours that can turn into nothing and crap. So I have changed to burst sessions, and I like those better.
That is the absolute worst when you get done. You get a location for 8 hours, and if you're anything like us, I have 2 recorders, and then they're each of these people have 3, one a piece. So we're looking at 5 recorders at this point,
and static cameras
and all. Yeah. It turns into like 100 and something hours worth of footage and audio that you got to go back to listen to, and half the time it's silence.
Exactly. And I don't know about you guys, but when you get done with an investigation, even if it's 3 or 4 hours, aren't you guys just exhausted?
Yeah.
I mean, just completely drained. And I'm even like, I guess I'm tense during the investigation, so I'm sore. My muscles are like, give me a fucking break.
Well, you always have to walk around with like your head on a swivel, if you will, depending on where you're at, because you're trying to catch everything you possibly can in the moment. You don't want to miss anything, so you're tense and you're doing like this, and you're walking around in the dark, and you're stubbing your toes and hitting your kneecaps and dropping shit, and it just becomes a clusterfuck by the end of it. But it's fun, and we love doing it.
You know how we get over being drained after we go and drink Fireball? We get drunker than Cooter Brown and have a laugh about everything that goes on. That's how we cope. I mean, I'm not recommending that for everyone, but try it.
I think that's a great idea, because as Walt says, every investigation, I may or may not have a jar of whiskey in my
whiskey. I'd be hoping he'd have moonshine if he's a hippie mountain.
Well, moonshine too. But you gotta remember, I'm only like 20 miles from Lynchburg.
Ooh,
okay.
You got your little Jack Daniels going up in that area, right?
A hell of a lot of sense.
But a lot of moonshiners around here too. So
yeah, absolutely. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. Some of it, yeah.
I know that I want to talk, because I'm pretty sure this is going to take a bulk of what we want to talk about real quick. Unless, Shelley, did you have another question? I heard you.
No, I was just going to say, can we say the name of her book so that
that's where she just
like right now?
She just mentioned her book, so I'm going to segue into her books because I want to hear about these books. You're our first paranormal author that we've had on the show, so I'm excited to talk about the books that you have. So Brittany is graciously throwing up a picture of all of your books, but you have tell us a little bit. I'm not even going to speak on them because you're the expert. Obviously, you wrote them, so let's let you speak. Tell us about your books.
Okay. Well, the first one is that Whispers in the Dark, and I wanted that. They're speaking, Are You Listening, to be my first one. That's actually when I started writing back in only 2018. So, or 2017, I guess, is when I started writing, and I actually published the first 2 books in 2018. But I wanted that They're Speaking, Are You Listening? My Most Compelling EVPs to be my first book. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I wanted people to be able to hear the voices. And so, I stirred about that and just couldn't figure it out. Mark actually kicked me in the butt and said, just go ahead and write ghost stories, what has happened to you and the team and friends and stuff, and get that shit out. It's time. And so Whispers in the Dark came out, and it's 23 short stories. Mark did the cover, of course. He does all the covers, and he does the illustrations inside. That Whispers in the Dark's 23 short stories, mostly here in Lincoln County, Tennessee. There are 2 stories from Lynchburg, Tennessee, and a couple from South Carolina, one from Arizona, and I think that's it. But anyway, it's true stories that have happened to mostly myself and my team, and there's a couple of my friends that have told me stories. So that went into the second book, was a fiction trial. And Mark did 4 stories. I did 8, and we just wanted to see if we could do a little fiction. We came back to the true stuff, and I finally figured out what I wanted to do about those EVPs, and I put them on Elk Valley Paranormal.com, and you can go to the evidence section. There's 2 on the pull down menu of evidence. You can see just evidence of the old hospital, and then the second is They're Speaking. And as you're reading that 3rd book, when you come to an EVP in each chapter, you can go listen to it. So there's over
that's a good idea.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
That's
are super clear, and most of them you're going to have to listen and listen and listen, but it's hours of EVP work to have gotten those. One of my favorite ones was a residence that we did, and I knew something was around me. I just couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And I, like I said, I felt them. So I was taking pictures. We had not been there very long. And I said, I know you're here. I know somebody's here with me. So I'm going to taking pictures. Come with me. Went to the next room, was taking pictures. About 3 rooms later, after I'd said that 2 or 3 times, the EVP I got later was, I've got better things to do than to follow you around all night. Grumpy little old man, just a little curmudgeon. I love him.
Oh, I can't wait to be like that in the afterlife. That's gonna be me. That's
You're
totally
gonna be yelling,
me.
"Get off my lawn!
Get off my lawn!" Yeah, that's me.
Turn that damn noise down.
That is great. That is awesome.
So that's the 3rd book. The 4th book was something that just kind of fell into my lap. I was used to writing the scarier stories, and God just put it on me and said, you need to write something about our loved ones coming back, sending signs and near-death experiences and actual signs that you see, pennies, feathers, whatever. Also pets that come back and visit, deathbed experiences, different things like that. So I didn't have enough myself to make a book, but I sent word out to just put it on Facebook and said, I'm looking for stories. I had people from all over the United States send me stories to put in this book. There's only, I think, 5 chapters that are anonymous. Everybody else was like, yes, use my name, use my family's name. Because at the end of each chapter, I was saying in memory of, so-and-so or them, And I even have one from England she sent me. It was a story about her grandfather and his cat that she adopted. And so it's such a cool book. Now, the thing is, I started writing it in 2020, right after I'd published that 3rd book in 2019. So 2020 comes, and if you guys remember March 2020, that's when
the day the world stopped.
How could we forget so soon?
Right. And I lost my motivation. I completely lost motivation and was like, I just put this to the side, had all these stories and could not deal with them. Just couldn't do it. That went into 2021 and then 2022. 2022. My friend Valerie, that owns this great store in town where I get all my sage and incense and that kind of stuff. I was visiting her one day and she goes, "How's the book coming?" Well, it's not. And she said, "When were you going to bring that out?" And I said, Easter 2020 or 2021. And she goes, "And why is it not out?" And I said, "Because it passed and then Easter 2022 came up and, I'm just didn't have it." And, excuse me, I was ahead a year, 2021. So anyway, she said, "Well, you've got a month before Easter this year." And I said, "I can't do that whole book before Easter this year." And she goes, "Try it. Just try it." And I said, "Let's see how many I can get done." So she gave me that kick in the butt I needed. And over the next week and a half, I did 17 stories done.
Whoa.
Wow.
Done. So I came back. Okay. That's when the most horrible thing to our family happened. We lost Wyatt the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my baby. He was my mini me. And like I told you, he was a miracle baby. Wasn't supposed to be here. He was the only grandchild. He was the only son, child of my sister. And he went everywhere with me. I was training him to film for me and, on investigations. Yeah. We would do murder mysteries. And my husband doesn't like Olive Garden, but Wyatt did. And every once in a while he'd call up and go, "Hey, Aunt Cindy, what you doing?" And I go, "Nothing. You want to go to Olive Garden?" "Well, yes." He helped me with so much. He was always there for book signings and he would take pictures and I'd have to say, "Okay, wait. Okay, you're getting really artistic with this, but I just want a straight on shot." Because he would do them,
get all the angles and the lighting and all of it.
He was great. He was such a light. And I mean, people talked about him singing in the college halls, just walking down the hall. He's the most talented person I've ever known in my life. He could play anything on guitar. He could hear it, pick it, and he would finger pick like crazy and play Metallica and play, all these others and just incredible. And then all of a sudden he's gone. And we couldn't deal with it. So, it took me probably about, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. And I was like, maybe not even that long. I don't know. Everything kind of ran together. But I was like, shit, that's why I lost my motivation. This book is supposed to be about Wyatt. This book is supposed to be for Wyatt. So I had his story in it. I dedicated it, of course, to him. And he has shown himself several times to his mother, his grandmother. He messes with his grandmother's Kindle and laptop. And especially when she's reading, this is so funny. She'll be reading her Kindle. It'll be out in front of her. She'll be drinking her coffee and not touching the Kindle. And it'll flip through to the next chapter and then flip right back. And the first time it happened, she told me, she said, "We need to send this Kindle back." I said, "Mom, it's brand new." And she said, "Well, something's wrong with it." And I said, "Why? What's wrong with it?" And she said, "It is just messing up. It is going all into the next chapter and coming back." And I said, "Can you read it still, though, when it comes back? Is it where you're supposed to be?" And she said, "Well, yeah, it comes right back." I said, "Mom, who could that be?" And she went, "Oh, is that my baby?"
Aww.
Yeah. The first thing he did to his Nana, was I came in on a Tuesday night, and Mom was sitting at the table, not talking. Her dogs were going crazy, but she wasn't speaking. And I said, "Mom, are you okay?" And she said, "I don't know." I said, "You feel okay?" "Yeah, I feel okay." I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I think Wyatt visited me." I said, "Really? What happened?" And she said, "Well, my phone messed up and went black. And then I thought, well, I'll just, instead of playing a game, I'll read my Kindle." And then it went black and everything was going. Then the phone started back up, and then the Kindle stopped, and then the phone stopped, and the Kindle stopped. And she said, I was like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to do any of this tonight. And all of a sudden, she said, across the top of the black phone screen, his name scrolled across, Wyatt Johnson.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
then nothing but photos of him popped up. And it was like 10 to 12 photos of him just popped up. And as soon as they went through the photos, her phone came back up and the Kindle came back up.
No way.
Interestingly enough, she said, I want to see those photos again. They're not on her phone. They are nowhere. What he showed her was photos of him in a red short sleeve shirt. I've got a couple of pictures of him in a red short sleeve shirt. She says, no, it's not that one. It's like the gray one he had on. And I said, the kind of silky one? And she said, yeah. I said, well, he's got the tank top in this one. She said, no, this one had the sleeves. Well, he had one with sleeves, but we had no pictures of him in that. That's what he showed his Nana. And we can't find them. I've looked. They're not on my hard drive. They're on no media card I have. They're not on his iPad anywhere. They're not on his phone anywhere. I have scoured, and we cannot find those photos. So it's still a mystery.
Wow.
Well, and I think that speaks to the level of a connection that a loved one has once they've passed to the other side. I mean, because ever since my grandmother passed in 2020, I mean, she was very much the most profound woman in my life, profound person in my life, honestly. Like, I mean, she was the confidant, the secret keeper, the best friend, the one that did things that we got in trouble for together. Not legal trouble, just, we got reprimanded a little bit by my grandfather. And so, yeah, shame, don't do that. But I mean, it was
me just a minute.
But it was, I mean, the connection that we had when she passed away, shortly after that, like, I began to receive visitations from her. I received visitations twice from her. Once was what I thought was a dream. In my dream, I was laying on my side facing the bathroom in my bedroom, and I grabbed the remote to the TV because I sleep with the TV on. Grabbed the remote to the TV, and I flipped the input to a cable box. That's when we still had cable, and put the remote back down. And I always fell asleep with the TV on the Fire Stick. And then when I put the remote back down, went back on my side, I look up and my grandmother's walking away from me into the bathroom. And she looked exactly how I remember her, long, white, flowy nightgown, hair down to her shoulders, all of that stuff. And I thought it was a dream until I woke up and the TV was on the cable box instead of the Fire Stick. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. I don't think that was a dream. I'm pretty sure that I woke up in the middle of the night and saw my grandmother walking away from a bed like she had just come to check on me. And the second time it was her as well. I was having a real hard time with her passing. This is maybe about a month or so after she passed. I was laying in bed, just, dealing, coping, grieving, crying, all of that kind of stuff. And I fell asleep. And then in my dream, I felt like this brushing, like on my side like this. And then out of nowhere, I left my body, and I was standing looking at my body on the side of the bed, and seated on the bed was my grandmother. And she was the one who was doing like this to my shoulder. And all she did was, I was looking at her. She never made eye contact with me, but she was looking down at me in the bed, and she leaned in, kissed my shoulder. And then she got up and she turned and she walked out of the room and she left. And so I believe that both of those were visitations from her. No, I'm pretty sure one of them I was dreaming. I don't, I can't see myself in the bed, But
Yeah.
The other one, I'm pretty sure I wasn't.
Out of body experience right there.
That too. I
Yeah.
thought of like, in my head, then you start going, am I crazy? Am I cuckoo? Was it astral projection? Did I like dream this? Is it out of body experience? You try to start putting a definition to what the hell happened. So
wow.
I think I find stories like that absolutely interesting because it just shows the level of connection a loved one has, even from the other side when they're not here physically with us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one more story that Wyatt has done. Because I've been praying since we lost him. Send me some kind of sign. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. He showed himself to his mom in a vision, like you're talking about, and he opened his bedroom door, which was one that was really hard to open. You had to kind of muscle it open and close. And he opened that door daily and turned on one of two of his lights. And the lights, one of them was a 3-way switch. And they just had the bulb in it that would only click on one of those times. So you had to click to get it there, right? The other lamp was one of those push pins that you push through to turn it on. He would turn on one of those lamps in his bedroom and open his door for his mom to know that he was still there.
Wow.
And the thing that has happened that I finally got a message from him was on February 23. But I just found it last week. So here's the story. And I can let you hear this as well. What happened is my sister lost internet power and all that kind of stuff. And so she called, she couldn't look up anything. So she calls my mom and says, I need FPU's number. And so she got it and she called FPU. Well, we can't come out until tomorrow. Okay, that's fine. So she was just going to, play solitaire on the phone or something because she couldn't do anything else. She couldn't watch TV because no streaming, that kind of thing. She also had some problems with the heating and air. And she'd been having this forever. And the local heating and cooling people, one in particular, was giving her a really hard time. They had put it in, they put the wrong one in.
Oh man.
Anyway, fast forward. So she's finally got one in, but it's not working right. And it never worked right 3 months after and all this kind of stuff. So she's had people up there back and forth. And finally, this company got tired of her calling. Well, then fucking put the right thing in, dude.
Right.
But anyway, so she calls and they kind of pawn her off on this subcontractor named Josh. He was so nice. He came up and worked on everything and left his phone number with her, blah, 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 blah. So past few months, she's having trouble again. This is when the internet is out. So the internet was out the day before. The next morning at 8:45, she's got heating and cooling problems again. So she finds the number by looking it up on the internet at 8:45 in the morning for this heating and cooling thing, group in town. All right. She calls them and they don't call her back. She calls again and she was like, you know what? Just give me a call and let me know if somebody can come out. All right. She finds the number she found that she looked up, right? Was this group here in town. Okay. She calls them and Josh answers. And she's like, oh, good. I finally got you. Good. I'm having trouble again. My heat's out. Can you please come up here? And he said, sure. Where do you live? And she said, well, you've been up here several times. This is Susan. And he goes, no, ma'am, I've not been up there. And she said, you just don't remember. And he says, well, where do you live? And she's told him the address. And he says, what is your name? And she said, Susan Johnson. And he said, ma'am, I've not been up there. She said, you just don't remember. Okay. She tells him the address again. He comes. And when he gets out of his vehicle, she's like, oh, you're not the Josh I thought you were. You haven't been up here, have you? And he goes, no, ma'am. And he said, how did you get my number? And she said, I got it. I looked it up, so he goes around, he fixes what's going on. Comes back in and he said, how did you get my number? And she said, I told you I looked it up on the website. He said, ma'am, my number's not on the website. This is my personal number. And she said, well, you mean, wait a minute. She said, don't you work for this group in town? And he goes, no, I work for a group in Alabama. Okay, this is a completely different heating and air group.
Mm-hmm.
This Josh works for. Well, this one in town has a Josh that works for them that she thought she was calling. Okay, so now everybody's confused.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, so how did you get my number? She said, I looked it up. He goes, you couldn't have. It is not on there. And he said, well, maybe the numbers are similar. They're not anywhere close. Nothing about them is close. So he's still trying to just kind of hanging around. She's done. She's paid him. And she said, he was like, he wanted to ask her something, and she said, can I get you a drink or something? You want a sun drop or, do you want anything? He said, no, I'm good. And he goes, my wife's name's Melanie. Like she was supposed to know that. And she goes, okay. He said, you don't know my wife? And she said, no. And he says, she works at Advanced Auto. And she goes, oh, I bet that's Wyatt's lady that he always talked about. And he goes, well, she's the lady that works down there. And, yeah, so that's my wife, Melanie. And Susan goes, oh my Lord. She said, Wyatt thought the world of her. And he goes, oh, wait a minute. Is his name Wyatt and he drove an El Camino? And she said, yeah, he died almost a year ago. And he goes, oh my Lord, we got some divine intervention going on here. And she said, what do you mean? And he said, I talked to your son down there while he was talking with my wife about parts or something. We talked about the El Camino, etc. And he said, if my wife didn't give you that number, and Susan said she didn't, I don't know her. He said, I think Wyatt or somebody got the number switched. How in the world could she have called Josh from this company and ended up with Josh from this company who's 10 minutes away from her? And so when all this is done, she goes, well, do you care if I keep your number? And he goes, no, you already got it.
Man, what are the chances?
So back to, if you want to hear this, I was getting Susan to tell me this story.
Uh-huh.
And it was just she and I in her home. The dog was close by. The television was on, but we did not have the sound on. We just, had like weather, whatever was going. And the cat was in there, and that's it. Nothing else was on. So let me play just a little bit of this.
And I said, yeah. And then he said,
Did you hear that?
Then he said,
tap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang on. Let me back it up just a tad. Now I went too far.
Yeah, so we heard the two taps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard the tap tap.
It's after. Let me put my glasses on so I can.
Shelly has the same problem.
All right. So it's after the taps. Okay. Can you hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and he drove an El Camino, and I said, yeah, and then he said,
you hear that?
Then he said,
And it was just you and her talking in the house.
And that wasn't my voice.
Whose was that? His voice?
Did you hear that?
Yeah. That was clear as day.
That's
Can we hear one more time,
Absolutely.
please?
So it's after the two taps. So that's the voice after while you're talking, the voice that comes in after the taps that says, "Did you hear that?" is the one we're paying attention to.
Yes. And that,
Holy
and he's
shit.
actually, this is the clearest EVP I've ever gotten. And he's actually smiling because, you know, being around him for so long, you know, his angry voice and his happy voice.
Yeah.
He's smiling as he's saying this.
that's when then Josh said, he said, your son's name was Wyatt, and he drove an El Camino. And I said, yeah. And then he said,
you hear that?
Then he said,
That is
Holy
a male's voice.
shit. Yeah, that's a man's voice.
It is
I
right
didn't
on the microphone.
Yeah, it's right there, and you're right. You can almost hear the. Did you hear that? You know.
That's my baby.
Wow.
That's my baby. And I've had this on my phone since the 23rd of February.
Yeah.
And have been begging for a sign, some kind of sign. Show yourself, you know, let me hear you. And I had it on my phone. I was transcribing this so I could take this off my phone. I can never take that off my phone.
No, that's
No.
amazing.
No.
Yeah.
So
What a
let
great
me
sign.
let me ask you
insane.
the double tap though, was that something that was not y'all in the room, or was that somebody making a sound in the room?
I kind of think that was him getting our attention,
Uh-huh.
but of course, I didn't hear any of that. We did not hear that.
In a
at the-
moment, right?
Exactly.
Because it almost sounds like to me, just being a third party listening in, it almost sounds like to me like he is the one that's going tap tap, and you keep talking, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" You know, like I'm trying to get your attention. Did you hear that? You know,
Yeah.
He's like, you asked for a sign. Hell, I'm trying. You know?
After I heard that, I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. My husband, I go banging on the bathroom door. You're not in the shower yet, right? And he goes, no. I said, please come here. I'm boo-hooing. I am boo-hooing. And he's terrified. He doesn't know what the hell is wrong. All right. So I sit him down and I said, just listen to this. He's thinking something's wrong with my mom, something's wrong with my sister, you know, something drastic has happened. But I just said, no, just listen. And played it for him. And he went, I mean, he knew.
Yeah.
Anybody in the family that hears it knows it's Wyatt. That's Wyatt's voice.
That is mind blowing. That is insane. That is like you said, one of the clearest EVPs I've ever heard.
It's the clearest EVP I have ever recorded. You know, most Class A's are still whispers. Like the very first Class A I ever got was "Get out," and it was just like that. You know, "Get out," and it's kind of gruff whisper. That is not a whisper. His is not a whisper.
Sounds like it's part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was so like, oh my God, I haven't been able to listen to the rest of it. I got 10 more minutes to transcribe and another whole story to transcribe that she was telling me. And I haven't had the energy to do it yet.
You might have a whole lot more on there. You just don't know it yet.
You have no idea. Yeah.
I so hope so. So
that would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because a lot of the times when we catch in recordings, not just on EVP recorders, you know, but on our cameras and things like that, whenever we're investigating these locations, a lot of your Class A's, like you were just saying, they are no more than just but you can make out exactly what they're saying. I have only heard I believe one or maybe two others that we have captured on investigations. One we just recently captured just like that was at a museum that we have the exclusive right to investigate. It's Gray County Historical Museum. And we had a camera set up. Everybody was down in the basement at this point, and this camera is one level up. And all you do, this guy just comes through and he just goes, "He's right." I mean, and it is like clear as day.
Wow.
Deep voice, and it is right there by the camera. That is mind-blowing, and I think proves to a lot of things what we say, that you don't need all this fancy equipment if you want to go ghost hunting. Just take your damn cell phone.
Exactly.
You got a flashlight, a camera, a recorder. You've got everything on it. Yeah, just turn that thing on and let it run.
Absolutely. You don't need all this fancy schmancy stuff. We just like to have all the fancy schmancy
Right?
stuff.
Yeah. The toys are fun. What's your favorite toy whenever you go on an investigation besides your recorder? What's your favorite toy to use whenever you go to catch some spooky, evidence?
A plasma ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys used one of those?
Yes.
I've seen them, and I'm not a fan of them. I'm going,
really?
Can't you do something else? I mean, I like a lot of lights and a lot of bells and whistles. I like things that make noise.
Yeah, and I do have something from Paranologies. It's one of the motion sensors that will follow the entity. It's in, it's got spikes coming off of it.
Oh yeah.
The 360, yeah.
And it will light up and follow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my latest favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that plasma ball, I tell you, we had it at Lynchburg Haunted Home. Sean, or maybe it was Waltz. I think it was Waltz. He brought it, and they set it on this old hearse in the garage. And we had already done investigation everywhere else through the entire place, and the garage was the last thing. So he had that sitting on the hood of it. And Sean, nothing was happening. Sean goes up to it and he goes, "Can you do this?" And he put one finger on it. And you know how it all goes to one finger, right?
Area. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He says, "Try this for me." And he takes it across the thing, and nothing happened. He says, "Please, can you do this?" And then I said, "Step away, Sean, just step away." And so he did. Swear to you. One finger.
Wow.
And he goes back over and he says, "Okay, can you do this?" And he puts two fingers on it, right? Stepped away, and it happened. Two fingers. So, just different things that night. It was just one of those things. It's like, okay, I got to get one.
We have used them in locations before. I mean, hell, I've got 3 of them in the closet. We just don't ever take them as much because we get very impatient very, very quickly.
Yeah. If something's not happening, we're moving.
And it is using a plasma ball to be able to do things like that. It is, you've got to be patient with it, because they're not performance circus monkeys. So we tend to time to time
where the action is.
Yeah. From time to time, we may try and rush them a little bit. Probably shouldn't. We need to be a little bit more patient in some areas. But if it's not happening, I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm done with this. Let's pull out a spirit box. They like the spirit box here. Let's talk to them that way. So
exactly. I understand.
Yeah. So I've read in one of your bios that you've been to a lot of interesting places. You have been not just here in the United States, but overseas. Tell us, what are some of your favorite places that you've had visited?
Stonehenge.
Oh.
There's not a basement there.
No, Shelley, there's not.
No, but I tell you, it's one of those places that
it's vibrational, right?
Yeah. I mean, you just feel different around it. I actually sat on one of the stones. You're not supposed to do that. I was only 12.
I think you're supposed to do that. Yeah.
Only 12. I didn't know.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, she sat on a stone.
So,
allegedly.
For all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in trouble for it, and had to write down. But Mom got a picture of me on it, so there is that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite. And any of the medieval places, Tower of London, that had such a vibe. It was odd. in Rothenburg in Germany that I went into, where they have all of the torture stuff, and what you had to wear if you gossiped was this like iron mask with the tongue sticking out and that kind of thing. And all that stuff, it was just freaky, and it was just different in that place. The air was different.
I was about to say, did it feel heavy, kind of from like the energy that was probably associated with those things?
I think so.
I can only imagine.
Because imagine all the energy that was expended in there. It's got to attach itself to something, and that's.
I mean, and just think. So Iron Maiden, they had one of those things there. Those weren't pretty. About that.
For you youngins, Iron Maiden is not just a band.
It's a spike-filled coffee looking thing.
Yeah. It's something you don't want to be inside.
No.
What would you say has been so far the scariest moment of your paranormal career?
Ooh.
I have been scared 3 times. Twice in the old hospital. Once with my co-founder, once by myself. And then the 3rd time was on vacation in Helen, Georgia. So all three times I was rushed by something. I couldn't see them. I couldn't hear them, but it was like a silent scream so loud. The vibration was just phenomenal. And I didn't want to be there. When it happened with my co-founder, we had gone up on the 2nd floor of the old hospital here and just, waiting for something to happen, looking for shadows, and we were sitting on the desk in the west end of the 2nd floor at the nurses station. And we were just watching for shadows and whatever. We hadn't been there 5 minutes, and something came up on us, and it was just one of those stifling things that was just there. And I said, Sean, I told you that I don't get scared. And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm a little bit. He goes, let's go.
I mean, was it a darkness? Was it a heaviness? Was it
was
couldn't breathe, or like
something was pressing down on us and closing in? It was that kind of feeling. Again, we were in pitch black. Our eyes had adjusted, but there was nothing there. There was nothing there. It was just something around us spiritually that was coming in, and
being surrounded. Yeah.
And this is the old Fayetteville or Lincoln County Hospital, correct?
Right.
That is on our haunted map location, guys. By the by,
Yes.
It is on the bucket list of places to go in the United States. So we might have to talk
I'm telling
a little
you,
later on, Cyn.
I will tell you right now, the owner has everything closed because the city's given him a bunch of crap. He's supposed to put a sprinkler system in. It's a fucking concrete building, dude. And asbestos tile. Asbestos tile is in everything at a certain date and before. If if you've been in stuff, you've seen that asbestos tile. But he's in the process of cleaning it up, and of course, with an old building, you've got dust and mold and that kind of stuff. So it's a constant cleanup thing.
Yeah.
It's also a constant break-in area. So he's been welding things and covering windows and doing different things like that. So at the moment, it still is closed to private and public investigations, but he's hoping to not too far in the future have it open for groups again, because we had groups coming from all over. I was scheduling them for him, and they were going through our Elk Valley Paranormal website to get to us, or Facebook, whatever. But we had people even from Ireland reach out
Wow.
and say, "Can we?" They didn't come, but people from California and Florida and New York and all
wanted
the other
information. Yeah, wanted to know how to book the location. Yeah,
we've had a few groups from Texas actually come too.
Oh wow.
I was about to say, once he opens it back up to groups, you know,
yes, please let us
private,
know.
just let us know.
Will be there.
This group, yeah, exactly. This Texas ass group will freaking be there.
So being
For
in the state
damn
of Tennessee, where you are in the state of Tennessee, I have to ask you: have you been to Brushy Mountain?
Oh man, we had everything. We were saving for that. I think it was $1,500 for the group.
It's
right?
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were doing a fundraiser to raise some money to go. We got the money, partial of it, so we're going to have to put in just a little bit more. And I had to have surgery on my knee, and I said, "You guys go ahead. We've already got it paid for. You guys go ahead." And they would not go. I'm like, "What? Why? Go." Oh, but no. So no, I have not been. And let me know when you guys go, because I want to go with you.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Sure.
Totally. We're always down to to collab with other teams.
And
we
we
love doing
travel,
it.
so
Yeah, we do travel. We do travel quite a bit.
If you ever get out here, just let us know where you want to go, and we'll go.
Yes.
With you want to go to Yorktown Memorial Hospital? We can make that happen. You want
Hey,
to go to Old
girl.
Park? We can make that happen. And if you don't know anything about the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger, girl, go watch our documentary on Scare Network TV.
I will.
Over it.
There's
crazy things that go on there.
That's so when people ask us as a group, as a whole, what's your favorite place that you've ever investigated? We all three have the same answer, and that's Old Park Hotel.
Wow.
It has produced every kind of paranormal evidence that you could possibly think of. I mean, from your residual of footsteps, knocks, and taps to the holy grail of a full-bodied shadow figure caught on camera 2 feet in front of Shelley's eyes.
Having a gunfight.
Having a gunfight. There's two of them.
I'm in the middle of a gunfight in this picture. One is directly in my face, and the other one is on the wall. And one has a pistol, and one has a shotgun.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yep.
You can see it.
Yep. You can
I must
absolutely see
go.
it. Yep.
Like, pull the picture up and show her.
I do. Y'all chit chat for a second. Yeah, we need to get sit down.
With Old Park cookies.
With Old Park.
Yes.
Not the Old Park cookies.
Yes. Well, those are the special cookies. We don't bring them out very often.
Keep talking amongst yourself while I find it.
But yeah, so this location will give you everything. It gives you EVPs. I have been upstairs changing. These guys were starting to walk down the stairs. The latch on my door in front of me opens, and the door opens as I'm changing clothes, and I go running for the door. That's the deacon. That's who he is. He's a bit of a pervert.
Dirty
but it's okay.
deacon.
He's a dirty deacon. He is absolutely, that's one you find everywhere. You've got the nasty guy, Jimmy the Weasel, who does bad things to ladies, make them feel like they're being stabbed, make them feel like they're being choked. He's not good, but that is a place where we've had people physically pushed, scratches, EVPs caught. What else? I mean, you name it.
I'm pulling up some of the scratches as well, just to show her.
It used to be a brothel, and it was connected
and a hotel.
And a hotel, and it's connected to some of the most, people you've heard throughout history, like some bad outlaws used to roll through there. So
Bonnie and Clyde rolled through there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But outlaws like gunslingers. Old West.
Oh yeah. Old West gunslingers. Yeah.
So we'll show you this picture first. I'm actually going to drop the banner down real quick. There's your gunslinger picture.
What?
That is in my face. You see on the wall is the guy with the rifle. In the hallway is the dude with the pistol. Wow. I saw that in my face. She ran up at me.
The only one that's in that area of the hallway at that point.
Everybody else was in bed at the other end of the hall.
Wow.
Yep, we have gotten scratched there.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Very violently scratched.
My neck too. They like to come after.
That's Shelley's neck. That's Brittany's neck, our producer.
That's our producer's neck.
Wow. That's Brittany's back. This is one of our guests' sides.
What? It looks like somebody took a belt after him.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get you to this place.
When are you coming?
Let me look at my calendar.
Okay.
Because we'll trade you favors once
You're
that
right.
one
That's
once
right.
that
We'll
one
trade
up
you.
there. Yeah, once that one up there opens back up, you let us know, and we're gonna
I
take you to Old
will.
Park.
I will. And we'll go up the road to Lynchburg Haunted Home that used to be a mortuary.
Oh, I am in.
Let's do it.
She just
Yes.
said my favorite word, guys.
I thought brothel was your favorite
Well,
word.
brothel's my favorite word too, but mortuary funeral home.
Oh, okay.
And it's a nasty place.
Oh,
It's a
even
nasty-
better.
Even better.
Well,
The nasty ones
we're
like
there.
you the best.
So hold on now.
I got a picture from there of and I didn't know what it was. So I asked Mark, I said, what is this? He had found during the seance that he was doing there, he said, there's a Ouija board up in the upstairs closet. And the guys that were running the tours, they were like, how the fuck did he know that? And Mark said, it's still open. And so they said, where is it? And he said, in the upstairs closet in the corner. And so they went and got it and they hid it a second time. And they came back in the room and testing Mark. And so Mark goes, the Ouija board is still open. You really need to close that. And they said, where is it now? He said, well, it's only about 15 feet from me now. And it's down this hallway. And they freaked out because they had just moved it to a hallway closet. So Mark's the real deal. He died on the table 2 or 3 times. So he's always been sensitive. But after he died on the table, he could see everything, and he could see all this, all these spirits and all this wicked stuff around us and stuff. So he's so you would love to have him on your show. Just putting that out there, Mark Elliott Fultz. There's my Ouija board. So that's the antique Ouija board that was still open. And what you're seeing, I didn't know what I caught. I had no idea. Showed it to Mark, and he said, that's the spirit feeding off that Ouija board. The red on that tether is the actual nutrition coming from it.
Huh.
What?
Yeah, I had no clue.
Wow.
So it's pretty wicked.
Now
That is
interesting.
That is very interesting. I mean, and the fact that he's like nailing it everywhere they move it, that's really cool.
It was awesome. It was awesome. The seance that he did that night, I guess there were maybe 4 or 5 voices that came through. And of course, he's sitting there, his whole countenance changes to the different ones. And this one comes through. We had this sweet man, he's an old farmer, and then we'd had a woman come through, and then Walt asked, because Walt was the one asking questions, and Walt goes, is there someone else that we can talk to? And all of a sudden Mark changed, and I got this weird feeling, and I said, Walt,
not this one.
Yeah, no. And they kind of went, what? And the camera guy back behind us went, my battery just went dead. So then, they start draining everything. Something else stopped, somebody else's camera and everything else.
So Mark is actually channeling. He's actually channels.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told, and Walt was still looking at me. I said, get somebody else. And this Brock guy said, what's she afraid of? Just kind of
being a dick.
You want to be a bully. You want to be a bully. But he drained everything in the room. And Sean, I've got so many funny stories with Sean. Sean is hysterical on a hunt, on anything, because he was brought in because he's a skeptic. And he's seen so many things now that, he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to see anymore, but he's still really, really great to debunk things. But he was sitting next to me on the couch, and when the seance, or when that Brock guy came through, we were watching Mark, and I was telling Walt, stop, get somebody else, get somebody else. Sean goes, who is, oh shit. And what? He said, I'll tell you later. So after the seance, I'm like, what happened? And he said, did you not see that person behind Mark? And I said,
now the skeptic saw
this
somebody.
is the skeptic.
Wow.
And I said, there was nobody behind him. He said, I thought it was the owner that had come through, a separate part of the building. Yeah. He said, but then I realized it wasn't the owner. And then all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore.
Wow.
He ain't so skeptic no more, is he?
No, Sean is not a skeptic anymore.
Now, the skeptic has seen an apparition. Have you ever seen an apparition?
I have. Not many. I've seen lots of shadow figures. I've only seen 3 actual ghosts. Mm-hmm. I have seen the little girl in the hospital. She, I caught, everything's usually out of the corner of your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I saw something. We were doing a public tour. And I saw something, and I looked, and she just kind of sucked back in through the doorway. And it was the little girl that we were trying to talk to. The next one I saw was at a residence. The girl called me and said, I've got a lot of things going on over here, and shit, my husband works at night and I'm here by myself. Can you come over? Yeah. So she had everything off. She was just telling me things that had happened. And in front of me, I was sitting down in this nice plush seat, and she was on the couch. In front of me was a really big flat screen TV that was off. You know how shiny those things are, right? So I was listening to her, taking notes, and I saw the most beautiful redheaded woman walk behind me. And I looked, and of course she wasn't there. And Pam said, did you just see something? And I said, who's the redhead? And she went, oh, you saw her? And I said, who is she? She's beautiful. That's Chip's mother. And
whoa.
And Chip is her husband?
Yes.
Okay.
She had died a few years before, but she was showing herself as a very young, beautiful redhead. I mean, she was dressed in a ball gown and had one of those scarves that hang down your back. I mean, she was decked out. She could have been in one of the Miss Universe pageants. She was gorgeous. And the reason she was there, she was hooked onto not only Chip, but some of the furniture that was there was hers. And she was making sure that they didn't do anything with the furniture. But I saw her, the third one I saw was not even human. And that was the freakiest thing I think I've ever seen. Shadow figures will freak you out, but this thing, I still don't quite know what it was. It was at a business here in town, and it had scared a couple of the customers. It had gone through and actually slapped the big countertop where you pay, and slammed a door, banged on a door, footsteps all the time. It was always messing up their security cam and just different things. So they said, come down. And I said, okay. I said, I want to sit where that last person was sitting. And it was over in a little side area, which was maybe 15 feet from the counter. Right? So it was this real shiny desk. And I said, okay, you guys go talk somewhere. So they went back to the kitchen, which was several rooms over. And I was up in this room by myself in the dark. And all I had was my recorder, my cell phone that I had on airplane. And I was playing solitaire, and my sun dropped. pop that sun drop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to get anything I could, and was talking to this thing and saying, okay, you scared this woman. Let me hear you hit the door like you hit the door for her. Let me hear your footsteps. Let me hear you slap the counter. I was getting nothing. And then all of a sudden I said, well, I guess not. I guess you're not here. And then I heard a couple of knocks, and I said, that could be the building settling or anything like that. So if that was you, it's not enough. And there were 3 more knocks. And I said, that's still not enough. It could be the building. And then all of a sudden, the strangest thing, they had one of those bird clocks, and it was, it was hunting birds that are, like, I don't know, things you see, not just not songbirds.
Yeah.
Like pheasants and things like that on it.
Yeah. Okay.
So this thing goes off, and it's the weirdest bird. I didn't even know it was a bird. It was like something was winding up to explode. I didn't know what the hell it was. And I just kind of looked up at the clock and went, well, that was interesting. And I, looked back down, and I thought, but I don't know if that was you. And as I'm looking down, this black cloud goes over my head. It's got 2 eyes in it.
What?
It's this black cloudy mass, and it goes right over my head, and it's staring right at me. And I turned to look up. Of course it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But the EVP I got late. Oh, and I said, I just saw something, but I don't know. I didn't know what the hell it was. And the EVP I got after I said, but I don't know, it said, it was me.
Where did the eyes have color that you could notice?
They were like, it was the weirdest looking thing. It was like this cloud, like this puffy black cloud with 2 big eyes in the middle. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen.
I wonder if it was just like couldn't completely manifest itself, or it was like traveling. So it was like in a different form to move from one place to the other.
They have caught this black misty thing on camera, and they've seen it a few times. So it's just the way it presents itself.
Huh. And you felt like it wasn't human, whatever it was.
I felt like it wasn't.
Okay.
Whether or not, I don't know.
Well, that's a whole different feeling whenever something of that nature walks.
Yeah,
in
if you're in the presence of something bad, you know it.
Yeah.
You know whenever you're in the presence of something bad, and you know when you're in the presence of something that is otherworldly or something that's demonic.
Yeah.
Once you feel that, that's a
like
horrible, icky, sticky, yuck feeling.
See, it wasn't that though. This thing was more of a prankster. So it wasn't. I have never been in the presence of anything demonic.
You want to?
And I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not. No. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. But now this thing was more like, look at me, look what I can do.
Showing off.
Yeah, showing off. When I got up after that, nothing else happened after that. Couldn't get him to make any noise, nothing. So I gathered everything up. I was going to go back to the kitchen where was kind of a hot spot because of all the electronics and stuff in there. And they'd had a lot of disturbances in the break room. So that was my next thing. But I knew this thing was around me. So I said, okay, I'm going in the other room. Come with me. And the EVP I got from that was, oh, we're running. Just like,
kind of like, damn, make up your mind.
So, do you think it could have been summoned there, whatever it is?
Maybe, because there is so many native things around us, battlegrounds. Here in the South, we're covered over with Native American stuff and battlefields.
Everything.
And so there is a a little creek that's not very far from this. And, water is kind of gives it more energy kind of thing. Or, yeah. And this particular area, there was a train tracks that came through. Trains were, so, were there hobos jumping off of the train and kind of staying around? I don't know. But this thing I did not feel was human, but he wasn't demonic. He just was a
I wonder if he's like a little imp or something.
Yeah.
That just likes to play stupid, shitty games that just piss you off from time to time.
That's what I think. What I think.
Go around slamming doors, hiding your keys, and all that kind of shit.
See, Cyn, I have an imp that likes to, and if I've been gone a couple of days, I'll get home, and the next time I go to leave the house, I'm going to be able to find my car keys. He's like, no, you need to stay a while. And you know how you have an order whenever you walk in, you put things down in certain orders in certain places. You don't deviate. Right. But like I'll find them in like a completely different room that I hadn't even been in like 3 or 4 days. And it's like, all right, I get it. Stop. He's hidden my shoes before because like there's I shoes that I always take off right when I get out of bed.
Are you sure he's not a cross-dresser?
I don't know. I don't know. He's a terrorist for the lack of a better word. But I found my shoes at the end of my bed on the other side. And it's like, I don't get in the bed that way. I get in the bed this way. And there would have been no reason for me to take them off on the other side and stick them under the end of the bed.
Wow.
I don't get in the bed over there. Yeah, he likes to move things. And so if I've been gone a couple of days, he likes to act up a little bit. So
yeah, it's kind of like a little tantrum he's throwing.
Yeah, he does. He throws a tantrum. And the strangest thing about that is that one night was eating dinner with my dad, and I saw something that looked like it came down the hall and go behind the couch. And I kind of jumped and I saw it and I was like, uh-oh, he's trying to make himself seen. And my dad, he stops and looks at me and says, did you let a dog in the house?
He saw it too.
And I said, what do you mean? I said, no, I didn't let a dog in the house. I said, why? He says, I thought I saw a dog come down that hallway. And I thought, you better not have let a damn dog in this house. And I used to be notorious for taking in strays and everything. I'd bring everything in the house and I tried to hide it like they weren't going to notice there was barking coming from my room. So yeah, but he actually saw it too. And it usually doesn't do anything but just like to aggravate me. Like I've been doing stuff for podcast and walk in and had my note card sitting out and sitting on the desk in the center of the desk, walk in and my note cards are like strewn everywhere. Like you haven't paid attention to me.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and they're just wanting a little attention.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those imps, he knows to behave. He doesn't always listen.
You'll probably hear from him tonight. He'll be like, why are you talking to me about me like that?
He's like, why are you talking shit?
Well, guys, do y'all have any final questions for Cyn?
I would like to know, Cyn, where can I find your books?
That's what I was going to ask.
They are on Amazon. I'm self-published. So what you see is what I have put together and written and all that kind of stuff. And again, Mark Elliott Fultz is the illustrator and cover designer. They are on in paperback or Kindle editions. If you got Kindle Unlimited, you can read them for free.
Hot dog.
Oh, hot dog.
And those names of those titles are Whispers in the Dark. They Are Speaking. Are You Listening? What are our other 2 titles?
The other one, the fiction one, is Web of Terror.
Web of Terror.
Collection of short stories. And then my last book is It's Not Goodbye, Signs from Beyond.
Thank you. I missed the title of that one.
Absolutely. Also, that 4th one has been my bestseller. And there will be a sequel. So
nice.
Blake, that story you told a little while ago. Yeah. So if you want me to include that in the next book next year for this sequel for that, please, if any of you have stories and your listeners, if any of them have stories that they would like for me to include in this next book, the sequel, then please email me, Cyn Shrader Hill author @gmail. Or you can reach out to me on Facebook or at elkvalleyparanormal.com. My next book I'm going to bring out this year is more of the darker things that those sticky kind of things.
Oh, you want to talk to me then?
We got some stories for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got some of those stories too. Have you ever been bit on a private or an investigation?
No. Have you been bit?
He was
I've been bit.
In
Like
plain
teeth
sight.
marks in plain sight. Yep.
What?
Yep. With Ryan as a witness, he was
And
standing
this
there the whole
location
time.
is notorious for biting people. He was the third person I had seen that was bitten there.
Yep. Got bit on my knee too, of all places. Like it was crawling
And
around
the
on
other
the floor
one was
type thing.
bit in the bend of her elbow, like something that and bit her vertically, not horozontally, vertically in the bend of her elbow.
Wow.
Upper and lower teeth.
Wow.
So if you'd like to hear some dark stories, by all means, we can jump on one of these whenever we're not live doing a podcast, and then we can tell you some shit, girl.
I will record anything you will let me.
Absolutely. I do have a question from an author standpoint before we get out of here. So after your family had the loss and you were writing his story and you were writing the book, did you find it was cathartic for you, and did you find comfort in other people's stories about what happened to them?
Oh God, his my dad's obituary was the hardest thing I ever wrote until I had to write Wyatt's. And then writing his story just tore my heart out. And it was a long time. I finally I took the book out to his grave. I guess it was about a month and a half ago. And that was the first time I could read his story without crying. And I read it to him out there. So
I think that's great. I think that's absolutely great. Now, the next time you want him to come and hang out with you, what you do is you go stop by Olive Garden and get breadsticks, and you put them on your table, and you say, "Let's have dinner together."
Yes,
absolutely. I think that's what I should do.
And then set the recorder down there and say, "Tell me what's been going on.
Come and talk to me." Yep. Tell me what's going on.
Breadsticks and your salad and whatever. So just set him up a plate and y'all just have a conversation.
I
want to know the results of that.
Yeah,
absolutely. It'd have to be some fettuccine Alfredo from Olive Garden. Because that was his favorite.
So you have to go during the never-ending pasta bowl.
He likes fettuccine Alfredo.
Yeah. Well, hang tight with us for just a little bit while we do a real quick sign off, give a couple announcements, shout out, stuff like that, and then we will get this wrapped up.
That's right. So Blake, tell them everything they need to know.
Absolutely. First and foremost, a couple announcements that we're going to run down really quick. Since we do have a special guest on here tonight, we're not going to hold her up any longer than we have to. We do have a couple of Paracons that are coming up that you can go and have fun at. April 22nd, you've got Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigations and Events that is taking place at Broadhead Manor in Broadhead, Wisconsin. That is $10 with a food donation, $20 without. They're going to have all kinds of fun games all day long, and then you get to do a ghost hunt at the end of that for a extra ticket purchase, separate ticket purchase. All donations are going to go be donated to 2 food pantries on that one. Also, May 12th to the 13th, we will be speaking at West Tex Paracon in Ballinger, Texas, at the Old Park Hotel that we lovingly just talked about tonight and showed a few pictures from. And we will be hunting and investigating both of those nights on that Friday and Saturday, the Old Park Hotel and the Old Reynolds County Jail. And then you can turn around, if that's not enough, catch us in July at Metacon in Kansas City, where we will be speaking again with a great lineup of other people, including 30,000 square feet vendors and healers and all kinds of fun. So make sure that you go and check those out. We'll post up those websites and everything like that. Make sure you're also following us on all social media channels. We got a lot of great content that's coming out this year, exclusive to those channels. You can find the link in the description of the episodes and the About Me and Bio sections of our pages. You can be taken exactly where you want to go, including our Patreon page and public investigations. $5 a month, you can become a patron, and you get like 100 extra videos and hours upon hours of us being absolutely stupid freaking idiots. Talking about everything from extra paranormal stories to, I don't know, other bullshit. Leave it at that.
EVP After Dark.
EVP After Dark, we'll call it that.
It's Cooper City.
Yeah. And as always, any questions, comments, or stories you'd like to share, those can be submitted to us at the evppod@gmail.com. Make sure, before I hand this back over to Shelly for her little tag, that you go follow Elk Valley Paranormal check out Cyn Shrader Hill's books. Go to Amazon, search them, buy them, read them, because I know I'm probably going to go find the one about signs from beyond. And anyways, your question, comments, and stories can be sent to theevppod@gmail.com. Shelly.
Like, share, and subscribe. Go and push that subscribe button.
Awesome. Well, y'all, thank y'all for watching another weekly episode of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. For myself, I'm Blake Smith. My partners in the paranormal, Mr. Ryan Robert Smith, Shelly Pruitt, and Brittany in the green room, our producer, pressing all the buttons, making us look pretty. Cyn, thank you so much for coming on today. We have had an absolute blast hearing your stories, and we had a wonderful time talking with you. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I had the best time.
Awesome.
So
I love it. Well, and as always,